Good morning. It's time for daily game design. I've had actually pretty good success this week. Um, Both going to school and streaming in the morning. I thought that, well, there was a chance that I would need some extra sleep, and so I would stream in the afternoon. But I keep waking up in time, and no, I think I'm gonna be a little tired today. That's all right. So yesterday, um, now there's some of these fruit flies around again. Yesterday, I ended up going to an improv show. This was in the evening, and it was really, I mean, my friend and their little troupe, they did a good job. I mean, improv is obviously uh, an interesting set of challenges, and I think what's cool about improv, we used to play improv games or used to do improv like stuff for summer camp a lot actually, and so there were some pretty good opportunities to like take those kinds of risks, and I think that's the important thing is like the feeling you're going out that you're going out on a limb and you hope your friends are there to pull you back in, or you're leaning out over the edge of a cliff and you know that it is definitely up to your friends to save you. That's the cool thing about improv. I think it's taking big swings, setting other people up with ideas, setting them up to try things, to build something together. So, well, I really enjoyed, um, yeah, really enjoyed at least supporting my friend, seeing a few other friends. I'm amazed. Some of these people they drove down from Waianae, so it was almost an hour to go down to the show. Um, But it was another cool thing to see one of my gamer buddies. I see him around. He used to work at one of the game stores. I don't see him that often anymore. I don't think we've ever played a game together, but he's around, and I was surprised. He ended up being one of the guys up there, and he did a good job. Their I don't know what to call it. Their set. It was actually not. It was just one long scene, and that one. So it was my friend Catherine that invited us, and um, they had like an all what were they? Easy over ovaries is what they named themselves, and they did a bunch of scenes like with a Christmas theme, and this whole show was supposed to be about an hour. I think they were meant to split it in half or something. So this other scene, so the first group did I don't know 5 or 6 scenes. They did this stuff where you get a suggestion from the audience and then yeah, just go for it. This other group that came up after was these 4, 5, 6 guys. Two of them were dressed like referees, and they were there to kind of complicate things for the group. Um, just my friend Matt was the one of the four um, main guys in the scene. The other three guys I'd never seen before, but anyway, I didn't even know this existed really, except that my friend Catherine got into it. I mean, I didn't know that they had troops around and they had little shows. Well, anyway, whereas the first group split up their scene into split up their time into 5 or 6 scenes, this other group had all one scene. And to be honest, I'm not sure why they did that. And if I was them, I would not have been super excited about it. In fact, it was kind of interesting to see when they really started running out of ideas, and the four guys. So they started this thing about being it was somebody's birthday, and they were kind of in his home, kind of in a park, and then they got garbled, and then they picked up this. It became a little bit of an inside joke that that they were in a field or in a park with a door. So it's that kind of thing where, yeah, people kind of misunderstood the moment, called something something, and then it got picked up and they stuck with it. And sometimes I think with improv scenes, you can't get out of it. Like you're just kind of trapped in whatever this weird moment was, when you like misheard each other, or somebody just randomly said something they probably shouldn't have, and so then you just get kind of stuck with this weird idea. So they were in a park with a door, and the door, this one guy kept going in and out of the door, and that's fine. They did a decent job figuring out how to adjust. But anyway, they kept going and going and going, and the other guys, the referee guys, they would add a different emotion. That was their main thing. They could have done some other stuff. Anyway, it was honestly pretty odd, like that they just let him go like that, because you could see with the actors that they kept kind of asking to end the scene. Like it was very clear that they were running out of energy and running out of ideas. Every now and then things would refresh a little bit, and then there were some genuinely funny moments, but it was tough to see in the middle of the scene. Well, what turned out to be the middle is that these guys were kind of over it, but the referees just kind of let it hang in the air, and they just kept going. And they did their best. Anyway, it was a fun overlap of friend groups there to see this guy, and to have some honest and genuine laughs. Anyway, it takes a lot of courage to do improv, and it's one reason why I really appreciate it. I miss it. I don't know that I'm super good at it. Sometimes I can just freeze, get stuck. I mean, maybe all of us are, and maybe it's one of those muscles you just have to work out. But it really is so key, like the team doing it, because I had some really, really fun people to do skits with at the different summer camps I worked at, and they were just amazing. And I always felt like my role, and this was not just improv, but in other cases too, like we used to host a lot of like morning shows or like talent shows or whatever. And I always felt like I was the guy setting other people up with interesting possibilities and just seeing what they could do with it. I couldn't really do much with their ideas. So it was more my role to like see what they could do with mine. A kind of chaos style sometimes. Okay, you know what? Yesterday, Legends, he said that I want to say he had a roll and move that he was messing with, or he wanted to like revisit, and it reminded me this morning that I also had a roll. No, I didn't say. Did I say roll and write? I meant roll and move. It reminded me that I also have a roll and move that I was working on. This was some time ago, and it was themed around the children of Israel, the Israelites entering into Canaan and like looking around. So it has some of the stuff that's mentioned in that story. And I haven't looked at it in a super long time. But anyway, I do think there's definitely opportunity to make a roll and move interesting. That's what I mentioned with River of Gold yesterday. And also, I think Formula D is fine as a game. I think it's a good time, and all you get to do is, as you're in that game, you're driving around a track. It's a race. You are race car drivers, and you have gears. And the gears correlate to dice with different numbers of faces on them. So when you're in the lowest gear, you're rolling a d4, I think, and then you can shift up, and eventually you're rolling a. Oh, and the range also. It's not like, okay. So in higher gears, yeah, I do think in the lowest gear it's like actually 1 through 4, but in higher gears they don't go 1 through something. They have a range of like, 2 through 6 or 3 through 7, or I don't remember what they are, but the range shifts up as the dice gain more faces. There's an 8-sided die, a 12-sided die, and a 20-sided die, but I think the 20-sided die rolls up to 30 or something like that. I forget. Anyway, there's some cool moments that can happen with the randomness in that game, but the randomness is controlled because there's only a range of possibilities. And because they limit the range of possibilities, that's the point. Well, anyway, I wanted to have a look at this before I shift back to playtesting ADRA HQ. Partly because I really thought that there were some interesting ideas here, and I wondered if, now that I've had some more time working on games, if anything would stand out to me as like, oh, this is a cool idea still, or how could we retheme this, or something like that. If I remember right, and I'm actually almost certain I don't. Let me see if I have some notes on Spies of Canaan. It should be in here, and it is. I'm in concept mode for a game representing numbers 13, the Spies of Canaan. You're sent into the land of Canaan, okay. I imagine the game map building and game flow working kind of like Clank Catacombs. Cool. I also really want to try a dice activation and upgrade system similar to Space Base or Machikoro 2 to manage player movement. Carrying capacity, I'm not sure what else. So I say I'm already excited about some of these ideas coming together for this one. Found a nice way to combine dice rolling, upgrading, and VP. For now, each player rolls 2d6. For the active player, the roll is simply 2 instances of movement that the player can use however they like. For the other players, the combined roll will activate upgrades they've built by collecting different items. Each upgrade built is also VP. VP also comes from exploring new tiles, flipping them over, sacrificing any extra movement. Additionally, there's an attending bonus for flipping over a new tile. I don't know what that means. Seems interesting so far, no sense of balance yet, still very exploratory. Okay, the one important aspect not shown in the screenshot is a giant track. My thinking is that every time a player rolls a 7 or whenever a player passes through a city, the giant will move 1 space on the track. Maybe there's some mid-game trigger where things change. Something like after the last tile is flipped over, players can no longer pick up items, though they would still move the giant along by passing through city. They need to return to their starting point before the giant reaches the end of the track. Otherwise, they won't be able to score their VP. In this way, it'd be like Clank or Deep Sea Adventure. This was 2023. Okay, so almost exactly 2 years ago. November. I showed Jesse some of these ideas in Spies last night at the Monday game night. I shared about a challenge I was having with the Canaan tiles. Players could situate tiles in such a way that they could cut off most of the game board. I think I must have taken it to my laptop or something. At that point, all Canaan tiles had 3 outlets. I didn't want 4 per tile because I wanted more limited travel. One suggestion Jesse had was to have different types of roads. So I came up with another style of road today that will discourage travel through it, but could function like a shortcut in certain circumstances. This type is a high die requirement of 5 or 6 in order to pass through. With that change and a few more on the player boards, I completed a self-play test today minus a giant track or some change at the mid-game after all the tiles are flipped. For the most part, I was happy with this. I need to expand the player boards a bit, adding a few more abilities. I also need to get a sense of how quickly a giant track should be used up, but I like it so far. This is the kind of process that makes designing so fun. A lot is happening on this little player board. Cool. I've been interested in dice activation for a while, a la Machikoro 2, Space-Based My Village, and Bad Company. These are the progeny of the resource gathering system in Catan. At first I thought you might be playing with a spy character and have ways of upgrading them. Greater carrying capacity and speed, for example. Then I don't know, a bunch of typos here. Then I something the way the Canaan tiles were developing so that I had 4 resources to work with. At that point, I decided to try completely abstracting out the spy characters and instead having a board full of abilities you can unlock over time. Those abilities get activated with the dice roll of any other player, while the active player uses 2 segments of their movement from their roll. Yep, it's a roll and move game. Let me read that again. You know what I just realized is I could actually I wonder if it would stress things way too much if I also included streaming on Discord. But I don't really know. I mean, I think it would just be to open up my video chat and people could jump in. So far the stream looks pretty solid, thankfully. So let me read this last bit again. Those abilities get activated with the dice roll of any other player, while the active player uses 2 segments of movement from their roll. Yeah. Excited about some of the layers of what's happening with the player board. First, I decided to link the dice roll values to VP. So when you unlock an ability, you also earn VP for it. That's one reason that the cost of the abilities goes up with the dice roll value, even though the probability of having that ability activated goes down after 7. Moreover, because it's a roll and move, a high roll is always better than a low roll for the active player. In fact, a low roll is pretty painful in this game. That's why on the player board there are no abilities attached to the 3 and 4. And a player who consistently gets high rolls would have a serious advantage because they were able to pick up the resources and move around the board. That's why the abilities also get stronger as the numbers increase. What? Let me look at this. I'm not even following my own ideas at this point. Oh. Okay, let me look at that again. Okay. Some of the layers. Okay, first I decided to link the dice roll values to VP. What I think I mean there is, see, this is one of those things like Eric Lang, just like if he doesn't remember how a thing works, he just moves on. Okay, So, first of all, these are VP. So the idea was that if you place tokens, if you get the tokens you need and you cover these spaces, then you would, if these are covered, if all of the resource symbols are covered by the end of the game, you would earn this many victory points. Okay, I think that's the idea of linking dice roll values to VP. So when you unlock an ability, you also earn VP for it. That's one reason that the cost of abilities goes up with the dice roll value. Even though the probability of having that ability activated goes down after 7. Did I just misunderstand dice? I feel like that's not what that means, but maybe it is. Moreover, because it's a roll and move, a high roll is always better than a low roll for the active player. In fact, a low roll is pretty painful in this game. That's why on the player board, there are no abilities attached to the 3 and 4. If the active player... Oh. Okay, I see what's happening. So, the active player rolls and uses the dice rolls. I'm sorry, uses the dice for movement. All the other players are watching the roll and then using that roll to activate one of their abilities. In other words, when the active player rolls high, which is good in this game, the other players get to activate a strong ability. That's the idea. So when the other player rolls a 3 or 4, the player who has unlocked that is just getting victory points. They don't get to do something and gain the victory points. It's just victory points. So if somebody rolls a 1 and a 2, they're not moving very far, but no other players are really getting an advantage. They're not able to do something interesting on that player's turn. Okay. Trade 3 to 1, move 2, move 3, ignore the thing. Trade 1 to 1, take any one, move 5, ignore the thing. Okay, that's making sense. Why didn't I include a 2 and a 12? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay. A few other details. At first, the block of circles in the top left was a kind of overflow for resources that couldn't be placed. It still is that. If the 4 slots ever fill up, the player must trade for 1 resource that they can place right away. However, now the area includes a couple of choices about accruing resources that can be spent to mitigate bad dice rolls. Finally, in terms of probability, the resources on the tiles are also staggered, meaning that there are more grapes than pomegranates and more pomegranates than figs in cities. The last 2 are equal, but there is disincentive to visit cities. Okay. And then here's this guy, I don't remember his name, but I know he's working on one of the Christian TCGs. Well, anyway, I'm still interested in this. So let me play through just a little bit, and then I'll make sure to try to get at least 2 play tests of of ADRA HQ in. It's nice. This morning I'm a little bit earlier than usual, so I should be able to make it the full hour or close to it. Okay, so I'll go through and just do some random stuff here. Just play, and I'll play a 3-player game. So let's just take, who should I take out? I'll take red out. So here's one issue I just thought of. It's that if you roll low in the beginning, you're at a crazy disadvantage. Okay, so here's just one simple idea. I'm revisiting this design. Immediately, low rolls at the start of the game are high rolls. The effective difference between high and low rolls at the start of the game is huge. So what we can do is I think letting players take resources for high rolls on other players' turns is possibly a good idea here. So for example, if you roll a 6, what did I just say as far as rarity? So figs. Figs would be if somebody rolls a 6. Pomegranate's a 5. What did I say here? Only the active player can explore. A player must have movement left in order to explore. Exploring sacrifices remaining movement. Okay, fair enough. Only combined die rolls activate abilities. That's important. You couldn't split a 3 and 4. You couldn't split a... Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter. Honestly. I mean, I almost don't have to say that because there's nothing at a 3 and 4 anyway. So there's no such thing as 2 and 5 or 1 and 6. So that doesn't really matter. Oh, you could do a 5 and a 6. Like if you rolled an 11, so it does matter. Sorry if I just yelled into the mic. That does matter. So it's only the combination. Yeah, it still matters. Okay, when using the movement from a single die, a player may not visit the space just previously left. All movement from the first die must be used or sacrificed before accessing the movement of the second die. A die indicates the number of spaces a player may move up to. Yeah. In order to gain a resource, the player must land on or move through that space. The player, however, is not required to end their movement on the item to collect it. Interesting. All right, well, I'm going to play without the addition I was just thinking about. So we'll go white, yellow, blue. So let's say white is going to move 6. Move 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll gain the city. And what do they want to work on? Sure. Gain the city. They can actually earn all of the 6s right now. Okay, I clearly see I need to have just put black discs or something like that. In fact, I think I will. I'm just going to change this right now. I remember thinking of this when I first tried. Are there any other... I don't think so. It's weird that these are only blocks and there are no... I could use these. Yeah, because there's no need to have all these like super specific. You don't need to cover a thing with its own thing. There's no need for that. But it was a nice thought. Reset. Okay. Make that a little bigger. Oh man, I was listening to Bear, B-E-R, Bear. I think it's probably Bear, but I have no idea. There was a song that stood out to me. I don't remember how I heard it, if somebody showed it to me or what, but it's called Meant to Be. Really, really good song called Meant to Be. And then I found that she has an Instagram. And anyway, really like her style. Her lyrics are really great, like really conversational. Okay, so I got this in the first roll. Maybe that should not be possible. If you roll a 6, you just get that. Okay, maybe that's a problem. And then the 3 is going to take this player over here. And in this game, you can arrange... so obviously it'd move in like that and take another pomegranate. No. I think movement is really good. Okay, so that was white. We'll roll for blue. Yo, Seth! I just rolled the same number. What? Same number again. Oh, that reminds me, Seth. I was going to look at your updates. I'm revisiting an old roll and move design based on our discussion yesterday. Or Legends said he wanted to design a roll and move game or something. And I remembered I have one that I was working on a while ago. Share your work. Okay, so you say that there are 3 bugs. Feedback dimension should be fixed. You can buy items when you have the exact amount of money. Cool. Items are now highlighted, outlined when you purchase them. The weird item disappear when you try to stand up a unit. Bug should be fixed. Numbers have been added to the instruction headings. Oh, nice. Okay, let me buy a unit. Nice. Okay. Yep. I like the yeah, I think that outline works. Okay, so I just dropped a guy in here, and I can give it weapons. I'll give it a rocket launcher. I cannot. Machine gun. What can I give it this thing? Did it crash somehow? Page up is not working. Actually, let me see. I'm gonna refresh. Need to pick a config on the left. Oh, that's my bad. Okay, so I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff. Okay, add one right here. Right. Okay, now I can add that stuff. Nice. And what was the thing? Oh, this is what I remember happening. That stuff just disappeared off the list. Yeah, it's gone. Let me buy some more. Oh, but oh, did it change my money though when it disappeared? Because I don't think I meant to sell it. Yeah, it's still happening. Drop that in. Pick a thing. So if I, yeah, it goes away one by one. Huh? And I don't get the money back. That's too bad. I can check the. Let me check the money situation again. What was the most? The most expensive is these troops. Oh, there's nothing for 10. There's nothing for 10 money. Let me sell something back. I need a multiple of. I need an odd. Okay, now. To 200. Oh, wow. So there's something even really expensive. 2,000. Nice. Yeah, okay. That worked. That was good. Nice. Let me sell some stuff. $34 machine guns. Yeah, I think the little bit of feedback for buying stuff is a nice detail. And then you said there are numbers. Oh, good. Yes. The rulebook editor in me appreciates that. Cool. Some progress there. Feel good about that. This would be like another UI detail. Not sure. I'm not sure it matters a whole lot, but and I see that you have a kind of differentiation in the sense that you have these letters and numbers at the start of whatever they are. But it would be helpful. Oh no. Wait a minute. Okay, no. What I was saying is not It does not hold. It'd be nice to know what is a unit and what is gear. So I see that the name gives me some indication for sure. But all I'm saying is somehow something differently formatted. Not a big deal. Players who understand, I was thinking about putting an icon. Should probably do that. Yeah, because when I first scanned through everything, it took a while to like have my eyes like sort of actually process the names, whereas I can imagine yeah, some other kind of indication being helpful. I mean, I'd hate to do this to you, but like 2 separate lists, as in 2 tabs under here. Like you have tabs up here, like in the store, having gear and units on separate tabs. I imagine that would be a big pain to build, but it might be helpful. Also, I don't quite follow the thinking on page down and page up. I'm sure you have a good reason for it, but in my view, the these would be the opposite. Oh, page down would be at the bottom, and that you're paging down the list. Page up, you page up the list. I mean, I think that's how it is in like a Word document. If you press page down, it's at the, you move, the list leaves you moving up. So that's why. Yeah, page down is like before scrolling. That's all we could do, is we could only page down. There was no scrolling down. I wonder if it's like the way you can like choose which way your wheel goes. Rationale is when you click on page up, you are increasing the page number. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. I think my sense of paging up and paging down were really just like moving, like the list is moving up or moving down, kind of like what scrolling does. Let me see now. Well, can I page? Can I page? I can. Nope. Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Oops. That is not true, Seth. It could not be Blorf and Dorf. No, there's centuries of tradition involved here. You can't just do that. Yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, things are not arbitrary anymore once they have cultural momentum. Although I know what you mean in a fundamental way. They seem arbitrary. Okay. Okay, so I'm hitting page down right now. And that's what I picture page down doing. Page up. And page down. So that's all. All I'm talking about is whether or not your players will be confused. And I was confused. So that's why I mentioned it. Don't save. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, once you start adding more stuff, okay, so you have 3 pages of things. The other thing is I don't fully understand the order that you've picked here. I guess it is alphabetical, right? No, it's not. It's not alphabetical. It is for units? No, it's not even for units. The store is a static order. Just something you picked. It's just the way they're loaded. Okay. Because the thing is, like, so you're asking the player to remember what's on the middle page of 3 versus the on the second page of 3 versus the first page of 3. So there's no inventory is useful stuff at the top. Oh right, you mean stuff like if I click on this, it gets resorted. Let me see. I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna blorf and then blorf again. Okay, buy a C32. Buy a C32. Okay. Yeah, I think that's smart. Yeah, I like that. It's down here. It's still interesting that strange behavior can only happen with units. Yeah, I like that sorting. But then why does it sort in this way? It sorts it. It says it's useful and it just keeps it in the same order. Is it in the order of when I bought it or the order that it shows up in the store? Oh, in the inventory it's alphabetical. Oh, I see. A, B, C, S. Right. When when it shows up in this list, I can see it's alphabetical. Yep. I was asking whether it showed up in the order that I bought it or if it showed up in some other order, and as you say, it's alphabetical. Because it might be nice, I'm not saying this is a good idea, but it might be nice that if I bought something, it shows up as like the most recent purchase. I'm not saying that's worth it or a good idea, but if I bought a bunch of stuff, I can just remember that it starts with a B. It's a C-24 howitzer, so then I can just go back here and look for C-24. That's fine. The difference would be if I bought it and then it showed up in the top of the list. And I can't think of why that would be that helpful. Okay, blorf to the bottom. Buy some planes. You know what? I like how you I mean, for me, red is associated with look at this, right? And in this case, it's you are here, right? So what I was just thinking is, this is also just an idea, doesn't matter a whole lot. But if this box was outlined in red, indicating that I should pick a what do you call it? A setup or whatever? A loadout or something. That I can't move on unless I do that. A configuration. Yeah. Demob, 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 demob. So like I would expect this square to be some other color, black maybe. But it doesn't matter. It's just you saw that I got stuck. You saw I got stuck there at the start and then you had to remind me. So for me that means it's worth highlighting these boxes somehow to make sure that the player understands they need to click one before they can move on. Ooh, yes. Yes. Yeah, graying out makes a lot of sense to me. Demob, you boys. What are these? These are jet. Wait. J6 flight. What's this 209th Jet Scout flight? Where does that come from? 307th. Is it just random? Click on the die on the top to randomize the name. Ah, got it. Okay, that's cute. Is that just like a is that like not an Easter egg but like just a fun little detail that somebody could just like figure out by exploring? Like, oh, what's this die here for? That's fun if that's what that's about. Oh, also, I didn't realize that these were different. Wait a second. Is it in the instructions? I see no. Oh, number one. It does say it. It says it. I saw the one. I just didn't see it next to the die, and so I thought maybe that's not. It does. Random name generator button. So this is a Jet Scout flight. And this is a J9. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Demob you. So this. Wait. Oh, Scout Bomber. Oh, does it become a different thing when it gets a rocket launcher? No. Wait. The type changes based on equipment. Ah, okay. But I just gave it a rocket launcher and it didn't change the name. So like these both have rocket launchers. And the same rocket launcher, but the name is different. What do I do? Oh. Yeah, I did. Okay, I did. I just clicked it. And now if I take the rocket launcher away, I suppose if I click it again. Oh, nice. Yep. Let me see what else I can give it to change the name. Do I need to sell? I sold, or whatever. I took it off. Okay, Jet Interceptor flight. And what if I leave both? It's still an interceptor. So I wonder if it gives priority to the thing that's first in the list. Let's see. Anti-tank, and then missile. Nope, it's always an interceptor if it has missiles. Oh. There's a hack where you set the name to one thing, change the loadout, then save it. So you have a weird name for a unit. Nice. Well, hey, Legends, welcome. Hey, I was just I was working on. I went back to a roll and move that I was working on a long time ago because you mentioned. I think you mentioned you were interested in. You had an idea for one. I can't remember exactly what you said yesterday. Okay, it randomizes it with some gear. Okay. Well, let's see. What if I give it everything? Yeah, it's still interceptor. Got it. I'm gonna take this off. No, need to take missile off. And then it's, oh, yeah, there it is. Attack, anti-tank. But if I add missile back, it's always interceptor. Doesn't matter. I have a roll and move first person shooter, that's right. Okay. Oh, what about machine gun? That's the attack. Okay, gotcha. That's a good example. Make an infantry platoon, then give them a DR. Okay. Infantry. Oh, a salvage crane. I haven't seen this before. Wait, it was already in my inventory. Okay, what was it? Infantry platoon? Okay. Inventory. We go here, infantry platoon. And then add DR7. MZ22. And SR9. Oh, maybe it was in there before. I just didn't remember this idea of a salvage crane. Okay. DR MZ SR. Okay, light infantry platoon. Right. It switches between medical mechanic and salvager. Nice. Yeah, okay. Nice. Okay, well, I'm gonna click through this, or just show this roll and move for a few seconds, and then I am gonna transition away. I'm at my hour basically. So this was the idea, Legends, that this is a pawn, and you're exploring this region. This is based on that story of the Israelites reaching the promised land and exploring Canaan. So it's the Spies of Canaan. I probably would retheme it at this point. I'm not really sure. I also don't know if these ideas are that interesting, but currently the main idea is that on your turn you roll the dice and you move, and these are just two instances of movement. So you roll a 5 and a 6, and then you get to move a 5 and then a 6, or a 6 and then a 5, and it's always up to. So you move up to a 5 or up to a 6 and then the other one. But while you're doing that, the other players are checking your dice and adding them together and activating some ability that they've unlocked by also exploring on their turn. So when you explore, it's like, okay, so for example, let's say it's white's turn. It's not right now, but let's say it is. So I'll use the 5. This is a weird example because of this little gate here. Actually, no. So I'll use the 6. 1. Oh, no, let me start over. So the 6, what the 6 does is if I choose a path, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I cross these things, I get these items. That was the idea there. So cross, like I move through these spaces to get these items. And now on any future turn, on any future opponent's turn, if they roll the total of a 6, so if they roll 2 3s or if they roll a 2 and a 4 or whatever, then I get to activate this ability which says to move 2. So it's by moving through the land that I gain these tokens and get to cover up stuff I move through. That was the idea. And that on other players' turns, when I have filled this stuff, I get to activate this ability so I can move too. So that was kind of the core concept here. And then you get, when you explore, you also gain some extra BP, and you get to flip and align this however you want. So anyway, that was kind of the main idea. And then there are also VP associated with these unlocked things, so that when at the end of the game you're scoring, because I've also unlocked this thing, I mean I've filled up all the spaces associated with the 6, I gain 6 victory points. So over here, if somebody rolls a 5 and 6 and this is all full, then I get to move 5 and ignore and then I get to ignore those gates with the specific dice. And I would also get 11 points. So it'd be pretty powerful. And that's why the cost is much greater. There's also a difference in distribution of these fruits. So like if you were to like count all the fruit on these spaces, the least represented is figs, and then pomegranates, and then grapes. So grapes should be most plentiful out here. There's also the idea of giants. So there were giants in the story, and my thinking was put cities around, and if you walk through a city, you do need to walk through cities sometimes to like do these upgrades. If you walk through a city, the giant gets closer and closer for every time you walk through a city. And then every time somebody rolls a 7, the giant gets closer. So if the giant reaches this space, this is kind of like Clank in this way. If the giant reaches this space and you haven't exited the map, then you can't score. That was the idea. So the giants catch you before you leave the promised land. Now, I don't know how I could retheme this, but I was interested in doing that. Or now I'm interested. I mean, I'm still fine to do some like Bible-inspired games. I just realized I'm probably not gonna, I will not have much of a chance of publishing them. Partly because I think my friend Jack, who published Sowers, is slowing down. And I just don't think, I think these ideas are fine mechanically and they could be interesting. This is more like a kid's game, but it could be an introduction to like dice activation. Or there's some other way of using this little system with more like bringing more of a gamery experience. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for me. It's suddenly already almost 7:40, and I need to. Mystery removing units from inventory should be fixed now. Thanks for all the feedback. Let me look really quick, and then I really do need to leave. Let me try. Store. Oh, I guess I need to refresh. Okay. Let's buy some stuff. Yep, it's not going anywhere. Nice. But I can still sell it. Perfect. Yeah. Nice work. Hopefully that didn't break something else, right? Okay, well, good hanging out with you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.